Dinosaurs have always fascinated me. I'm a big fan of dinosaurs. When I was a kid, I used to know so many species of dinosaurs. And then when I got older, I was able to memorize because when you're a kid, you can't memorize anything. When I was older, I was able to memorize the genus names and the family names and what dinosaur evolved from what. And ultimately, my knowledge on dinosaurs grew. And then I kind of fell out of it. Life gets at you. You don't have nearly as much time. You move on to other things. There's better, more stimulating things coming out. And my knowledge of dinosaurs was, no pun intended, kind of lost to time. You know, it was one of those things where I was so into it and then I just kind of fell out of it. But I'm happy to say, ladies and gentlemen, it is back. Over the last couple months, maybe even a year or so, my love for dinosaurs has really come full circle. You know, Dinosaurs have always fascinated me. Like I said, even when I was a kid, I was super into dinosaurs. But as an adult, learning about dinosaurs as an adult, you can truly appreciate them significantly more than you can as a kid because you know what it's like. Meaning, you're worried about life. Me, I'm worried about it. I'm worried about climate change. I am. I'm worried about the earth. I'm worried about our species. But in some sad way, humans, we're just going to be around for the time that we're around. That's it. And when our time is done, it'll just be done. And some new species will take our place. That's all it really comes down to. You know, Not saying that we shouldn't do things to prevent that or prolong our existence, but I'm not necessarily worried about the destruction of the planet. You know, I don't believe that humans, without significant drastic of things, I'm talking about like our normal course of action. I don't know if we can necessarily permanently ruin the planet. We might permanently ruin it for ourselves, and we might permanently ruin it for every single species alive today. But if the planet were to continue on for another billion, 2 billion years, I have a feeling life would bounce back. The earth would heal itself over that time period. Now, if every single country's nukes were to go off at the same time and everything were to be put into dust, maybe, maybe. But I still think over billions, guys, a billion is a lot of years. That's a long time, okay? A billion years, I feel like the planet could come back. I'm not saying life could come back, at least not human beings, but maybe simpler forms of life. Plants could eventually come back. Maybe insects could eventually come back. I'm hopeful for that because as much as I would like to live forever, I know I'm not going to. Okay? And I know that human beings aren't going to be around forever. It's impossible. We're either going to kill ourselves or the planet will do it for us. Human beings will not be around forever. But just being a part of human history, even if it's a small part, before we're all just wiped out, it kind of makes me glad to be here. You know, I'm I'm here. I'm here. And that's the most important thing. Now you might be kind of confused because this episode's supposed to be about dinosaurs, and I haven't talked about dinosaurs. I've been talking about existential crisis. So I'm going to talk about dinosaurs for about a minute. So like I said, I enjoy dinosaurs, and the reason I'm talking about the whole extinction thing is because the dinosaurs and all of the, you know, animals, not animals, but theropods and all these other creatures that came before the dinosaurs went through extinction events of their own. When you think of the dinosaurs, you think of the herbivores and the predators, or carnivores, I should say. You were talking about herds of millions, tens of millions of dinosaurs that were just wiped out, you know. And when it comes to the final extinction, the asteroid, which I believe was the KT extinction, it was practically overnight. Not overnight, but in the sense of when you look at the scope of the world, how processes happen over tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years, the KT extinction was practically overnight. I wonder if we will ever have something similar, where something happens and within a year or within 2 years, all it takes is some crack at the bottom of the ocean, you know, opening up, methane gas releasing, asteroid hitting the Earth, giant volcanic activity. All it takes is one thing, and we're done. We're done. But I'm glad that I was here, and I'm glad that you're listening to this. Think of how long we've been around, 4.5 billion years on this planet, and you're living in the same lifetime as this podcast. If that doesn't prove God is real, I don't know what does. I don't know what does. But anyway, I appreciate you listening to this, and I will see you tomorrow.